Good morning, everyone. My name is John Armacho. I'd like to introduce myself. I am a staff member at the NYSCEF Resource Center. For today's demonstration, our training session, we're going to be going over Supreme Civil Court filing using the NYSCEF system. And what we're going to do this morning, we're going to first show you the basic layout of our main homepage, and then we're going to go into the training system. We're going to file a summons and complaint. We're going to commence an action. So I'm going to show you all the steps that you need to do to commence an action, and also we're going to log in as defense counsel or an unrepresented party, a defendant, and show you that process with filing a notice of motion, an RJI, and some subsequent documents. So I'd like to first thank everyone for taking the time out this morning to attend this session. What I have open on my screen, hopefully everyone can see it, is the NYSCEF homepage. I do want to mention, if you have any questions along the way as I'm going through the presentation, if you don't have access to a microphone, at the very end we're going to open it up for question and answers. But if you don't have access to a microphone in the conversation pane, you can ask the question, and then what I'll do at the very end of the presentation, we'll go over all the questions that are asked in the conversation pane on the left-hand side. So I just wanted to go over that we will go over everything. I will mute everyone's microphone during the presentation, but I'll open it up at the very end. Now, some of the key important things with the e-filing system, if you're unfamiliar with it, as you see right now, I have it open up on my web browser. So to use e-filing, you don't need a special program. All you need is an internet connection, obviously a computer, and a web browser, and you can access the e-filing homepage. So I already had it open, but to get to the e-filing homepage, our URL is www.nycourts.gov/e-file. So this is our web address. Once you hit enter, it'll bring it right to our homepage. Now, you just need a scanner to scan your documents, and the acceptable format for your document to upload is a PDF-A, which just means an archived PDF. Most of your scanners automatically default to PDF-A format, and that's what you would use to upload any documents to your case. Now, one major advantage of the e-filing system is that it's accessible 24/7. So what that means is if I'm an attorney or I'm a party in a case and I need to upload a document, say I'm in court all day, or I upload my document after 5 p.m. when the court's already closed. The e-filing system, how it works is if you file your documents and they're accepted by 11:59 p.m. of that day, you'll still get that same day's date of your filing. So that's one major advantage, that you have all day to file your documents as long as they're transmitted by 11:59. There are no additional fees for using e-filing. The fee documents are the same fees that they would be if you went to the courthouse in person and filed these documents. It's also very secure e-filing with transmitting your documents to and uploading them to your case. Once PDFs are uploaded to the site, they're no longer, you can't edit the PDFs, so there's no way the PDF's getting modified. So that's one important feature as well. Now, just as important it is to get your documents and have them uploaded electronically, e-filing also works as a mechanism for electronic service. So as parties are involved with the case, everyone gets electronic service when documents are uploaded, whether it's by any one of the parties in the case, or if the court uploads a document, everyone gets an electronic notification of that as well. So that's really important. It's just considered as personal service. So those are some important things I wanted to go over. Now we're going to focus on the main homepage of the e-filing system. Now, as you see here, welcome to New York State Courts Electronic Filing. As we have important updates or some information that we need to get out and let the public know right away, we have them posted usually on our main homepage where I have the text highlighted. So these are some important updates that are going on that we'd like to let everyone know. Now, on the left-hand side of the page, we have home/NYSCEF, which is what we're on right now, and we have all of the courts listed below that you can click to sign into and file documents. Now, there's also functionality here for search as a guest. A lot of civil matters are available to the public, so the public can search as a guest and search by a party's name or an index number and look up that case. Of course, there are exceptions if they're a matrimonial case, a guardianship, mental hygiene. Those cases are not viewable to the public, so there are some exceptions to that. So it's not every case, but some cases. Now, what I want to click on is create an account. Now, when we click on create an account, there are a few accounts you can have created for the e-filing system. One, of course, being an attorney, and that's at the very top. Create attorney online services account. Now, if you are an attorney and you pay your biennial fees online, that means you already have an attorney online services account. So you would use those same credentials to sign into the e-filing system, and they're common credentials that you can sign in and get access to e-filing. If you don't, I'm going to show you in just a moment, step by step, what you would go through as an attorney to create your online services account. Now, there's also a lot of unrepresented parties that use the e-filing system. We have another section of our website. By clicking on this link, unrepresented litigants, it will bring it to a section that if you are looking to commence an action as an unrepresented party, you can create an account just by following a couple of steps on the screen. And if you are looking to file into an existing case, there's a form you need to fill out, and by filling out that form and sending it back to us, we'll send you an email with login credentials that are linked to the case that you're filing into, the pre-existing case. Now, there's also a Pro Hoc attorney account. If you're an attorney out of state and you were ordered that you're allowed to electronically file into a New York State matter, you can do so by clicking on that link, filling out a form, sending it to us, and we'll get an account created for that out-of-state attorney. Now, finally, there's also an authorized agent account, and there might be some paralegals on this demonstration, and what you would get is it's called a filing agent account. And it's just a form you fill out similarly to an unrepresented party or a Pro Hoc attorney. It's the same form with your information. When you send that to us, we'll get your account created at the Resource Center. And I'll have all of our contact information up later on, and it's also listed on the form. So I'm going to just go back to the main home page, and by doing so, you can just click Home NYSCEF, and I'll bring it right back to our main home page. If I click on Supreme Civil Court, there's a tutorial we have here for creating an attorney online services account. And I just want to go over this really quick, just so you're familiar with the screens you have to go through and the information you need to get an attorney online services account. So that page that we were just on, when we clicked on Create an Account, attorney would click Create Attorney Online Services Account, and on the very next page, there's a box with some characters. Need to type in the characters here and hit I agree. Once that's done, this is going to kind of start the process with creating the account. The registration number is going to be the first point of information that you need to put in. If you don't know your attorney registration number, there's a link below that you can search the attorney directory and you can get that information. But once you put in your attorney registration number and hit next, you're going to get to a verification page. The verification page, of course, is going to have your name, your address, and some registration information here. If the information's correct, you can authenticate your identity by putting in your date of birth and the sum of your Social Security number. So you're going to add up all the digits in your Social Security number and enter that number in this box. Now, entering your email address below, this is going to be an email address that we're going to use on file for any type of maintenance on your account. So what that means is if you ever need your password reset, it's going to go to that email address. So what I like to tell attorneys who are just setting up their account is have an email address that is maybe a personal email address, because if you happen to switch firms and can't sign into your account, if we have an old firm email address linked up to your account, that's not going to be helpful to you. You want an email address that no matter where you happen to, if you switch job locations, you always have access to this email. Now, once you put that information in, it's going to ask to create your account password. There is a criteria for your account password. It's a minimum of 7 characters in length, and it has to be a combination of alphabetic and numeric characters. Now, there is a challenge question that you set up for your account in case of getting your password reset. There's a couple of ways of doing that. On the challenge question, what I will say is, because we get a lot of these requests at the Resource Center, if there are a bunch of questions on that drop down, one of them being what's your pet's name. If you have 5 pets, make sure that maybe that's not the best question for you. Try and think of a question that is available to you on that drop down that you know that there's just one answer for. Once you do that, the account creation is complete. So all you need to do at this point is sign into the court that you wish to file documents into. But actually, you know what? Before doing that, you just go into Supreme Civil Court first, once you get your account created. If you're an attorney and you're looking to file into Surrogates Court, still file into Supreme Civil Court. I've signed into it. Once you sign into Supreme Civil Court, it's going to give you a screen for the terms of use. Once you understand and agree to the following, you're going to go down below and you're going to enter your service email address. Now, this email address is going to be used for your electronic service. So as you start consenting to multiple cases and filing for multiple cases, any type of service on those cases is going to go to this email address. So once you do that, you're officially signed in and you'll get Welcome to New York State Courts e-filing. Okay, so I just wanted to show you the steps with creating the attorney account. So I'm back on the home page. And I wanted to show you just some additional links here that might be helpful as you start electronically filing. In the middle of the page, we have authorized courts and case types. I'm going to click on this really quick, and we have a drop-down list for all the courts that participate throughout New York State. The Appellate Division first, the Court of Claims, then it goes to the Supreme Court, and then the Surrogate Court right below. I'm going to click on just Albany County Supreme Court and hit Select. You might hear me mention during the presentation consensual cases or mandatory cases. Now, in Albany County, anything that has on this list a red asterisk is a mandatory case type. So if I'm looking to file a commercial division case, it's a mandatory case if I'm an attorney in Albany County. Now, the exception to this rule is that if I'm an unrepresented party, I can electronically file, but I'm not mandated where I have to electronically file. And while we're talking about that, I do want to mention that during the COVID-19 crisis, there is no foot traffic currently as of right now in the court. So if you're an attorney, you're not going to the courthouse. So what the e-filing system has done during this time, they have opened up every county that participates in e-filing. Every case type is highlighted, and you can file documents via the e-filing system because no attorneys can go to the courthouse. And the same thing for unrepresented parties. You can get an account created and file electronically using the e-filing system. So I just did want to mention that during this COVID-19 crisis, all case types are available for the e-filing system. So I'm going to go back to the main homepage again, and I wanted to show you the rules and legislation that govern e-filing. I'm going to click on Rules and Legislation and show you where the uniform rules are. Now, the uniform rules cover consensual e-filing and mandatory e-filing. I recommend going over these rules. It just gives some basic definitions on the first page of the rules, and then it just goes into specific criteria of service of documents, discovery material, that it's not generally electronically filed, discovery material. It's only about 6 or 7 pages. I recommend just going over it if this is your first time e-filing and just get familiar with those rules. Now, at the bottom of this page, we have our administrative orders. Now, the administrative orders are assigned by our Chief Administrative Judge, Lawrence Marks, and as more and more courts come on board with e-filing, the administrative order gives that information. And also some courts with additional case types, if they're expanding their e-filing, it would be listed here in the administrative order. So you can look up this information right here. I'm seeing that some of the screens are frozen. If you maybe just try going out and going back into the demonstration, hopefully that should work. Okay, so the administrative order they're all listed right here. So I just wanted to show you where that information is available. So once I close this out, we're going to go back to the home page, and I wanted to just show you some additional resources. There's a forms page here, and these forms are very specific to e-filing. I mentioned before that if you are a non-attorney, unrepresented party, a filing agent in Pro Hoc attorney out of state, there's a form you need to fill out. This is the form right here. It's a user registration form. And if you notice on top here, we have specific forms for all the courts that participate for e-filing. Now, some of the important forms I'm just going to go over really quick. The EF11 form is the change of email service address. If you do switch firms and you need your service email address updated to your new firm, this is the form you would fill out. And this is an email address that you can't update on your own at this time. This is something that we have to do at the Resource Center. So if you fill this form out, send this to us by fax or email. That information is on the form. We'd be more than happy to update your account right away so it's up to date. Now, there's also a statement of authorization form. The statement of authorization form is for a filing agent, a paralegal at a firm. If he or she is uploading documents for an attorney, this form needs to be filled out by the attorney, and it basically states that I, the attorney, give permission for this party to file documents on my behalf. Now, when a filing agent uploads a document to a case, say they're commencing an action, they're commencing it by summons and complaint, they're just required one time in a Supreme Civil Court case to upload the statement of authorization, and it's always the second document. It's never the first document or the last document. It's on the drop-down list, it's statement of authorization. Once you upload this document, then you'll be able to file the document for that attorney. You'll get a notification that the document was filed, and so will the attorney. I recommend paralegals to save this statement of authorization form maybe in a folder or on their desktop, so it's always readily available whenever they file future cases for that attorney. So I'm going to close out of this form and go back to our forms. And one thing I wanted to show you is there's also a form, notice of hard copy submission. And at this time, this is something that I just want to go over. It's a form when the courts, of course, are open. As of right now, this doesn't apply. You can't go down to the courthouse and bring in hard copy of certain documents that you're looking to upload to your case. But once the courts do open, there's a notice of hard copy submission form, because there are some exceptions. If there's an emergency exception, if your computer's not working, if you're looking to file a proposed order to show cause, and you may not want your adversaries to see if you're seeking a TRO. If you may not want them to see this, there are situations that you can go down to the courthouse and file in paper. So, of course, it's not during this time. If there's an emergency application that you need to make with the court that you're filing into, what I recommend, while the executive order is prohibiting foot traffic in the court, call up the court that you're looking to file into, and every court will have their own protocol with how they want to handle their emergency applications. So I did want to just stress that, because if you're going through these forms and you see notice of hard copy, just during this time it's just not available to go down to the court in person. Okay. So I'm going to close out of this form and go back to the home page, and for the purposes of this training session today, we will be using the training system. Now, the training system is an exact mirror of the live system. So when you go to file your documents to a live case, it's going to look exactly the same way. So we're going to be doing that now. I'm going to be clicking on training system. It's right below training on the left-hand side. Now, also, all the buttons here on the left-hand side of the screen, they're also available at the bottom of the screen. So there's a multiple ways of getting to what you need to get to on the home page. Now, there's some additional training resources if you like to click on that. There's some literature that you can read into if you want to go back, and if you have a question with e-filing, of course, you can contact us, and I'll give our contact information at the very end of the training session. So when I click on training system, we're going to log into the first link here, which covers the Supreme Court. Now, I'm going to log in using a training account that we have, and we're going to be commencing our Supreme Civil Court action. So the layout of the e-filing site, once you sign in, you get to a welcome page, and there's 4 icons going across the screen. The first column is File Documents, and this is going to be the courts listed that you can file into. Now, this is the training system, so the criminal court is listed here because we're doing a pilot program, which is available just in the training system. So that's why that's listed here, but you wouldn't see that in the live system. Now, on the second column is Cases. Now, when you get an attorney account created, you have this link here, My Cases/Appeals. And as you start commencing cases and file into existing cases, you have a list here on your My Cases that you can easily sort all your cases on this screen. And I'll go into this momentarily, that you can keep track of all your e-filed cases. Now, you can also search for cases using Case Search. The third column, Resources, this will bring you to our forms page that we just went to. There's also a link here that I want to show you, PDF Checker. PDF Checker is a checker that we have for any PDFs that you're looking to upload into your case. You can check and make sure all your PDFs are okay, there's no errors with them, before you even go into your filing, to know that you're not going to run into any or encounter any problems. Now, Available Courts, link is right here, and it's also right here where I have my cursor, so there's a few ways of getting to it, and just some information that you have available by just clicking on Rules and Legislation, and some news that might be going on with e-filing. And of course, the last column, you can go into your account settings. You can update your physical address in your account settings, or you can log out. So we're going to click on Supreme Court underneath File Documents to commence our action. And we're going to focus underneath New Cases. So Start a New Case. Once we click on Start a New Case, this is going to be the beginning phase of creating the shell of our case and commencing. So we're going to have a drop-down list of all the courts that participate in e-filing. For the purposes of this file, we're just going to select New York County Supreme Court. So once I select New York County Supreme Court and hit Next, this is now going to bring me to the Case Type screen. Now, if you notice on the top of your screen here, we have a timeline, which will show us as we gradually progress through the filing, it will show you what screen you're at and how much longer you have to go. So, like I mentioned before, there are some things that are grayed out here because we are in the training system. So if you see uncontested matrimonials were not available to electronically file in New York County, everything is highlighted now during the COVID-19 crisis for New York County. Everything will be highlighted. So we're going to just start a tort motor vehicle case. So once I select tort motor vehicle, I'm going to hit Next. And now, as we start going through the filing as well, information will be populated at the top of our screen. Now, this is a really important screen, and I say this because the parties have to match your papers. So your commencement papers, whether it's summons and complaint, a petition, make sure that the information that's entered here looks exactly the same on your paper. Now, first name, I've done some trainings before, so it's pre-populated in my browser. So we're just going to select Mickey Mantle, so first name, last name. If it's a business name, you can enter the business name here. Now, if the party that I'm entering has an AKA, you can hit Add Other Name Status, and you can put their AKA name listed right here. Since I don't have one, I'm just going to hit Cancel. But if I had, say, a business organization name that I need to include as a plaintiff, I could just enter that information here. One thing I would also like to tell you is every party needs to be on their own designated line. So whether it's first name, last name, it's a person or a business, because what happens is once the shell of the case is created, each attorney for each specific party needs to have its own line so they can consent to each individual party. Now, the system allows you for up to 5 parties at one time. If you need to add more plaintiffs, plaintiffs or petitioners, you can click on this button and the system will give you an additional 5, and so forth. Now, for defendants, respondents, we're going to select Babe Ruth, first name, last name, and the same thing. If there's a business organization, you can enter that information here. Now I'm going to go down to the bottom of my screen and hit next. Actually, you know, we'll just put, just so I can show you something on the next screen, we'll put ABC Corp. Now, on the next page, it's going to give you, this is a verification page. So there's no need to worry if you typed in something incorrectly. You can still modify everything that you entered on the previous page. So you can hit edit if you need to enter one of the parties' names if there's an incorrect spelling. Also, if on my commencement papers, if I had ABC Corp first and Babe Ruth second, you can easily modify that on this screen. If you hit up, it will now show ABC Corp as the first entry and then Babe Ruth as the second entry. So there's all modifications that we can do here. Make sure on this screen that everything is correct as we proceed. Once I hit next, this is going to bring us to our document upload page. Now, the first question that we have here, are you filing a request for judicial intervention? It's defaulted to no. We're going to leave it as no. We're going to be filing our RJI at a later time. Now, this filing during COVID-19, this is something that is, now that the courts are participating who are e-filing, this is going to be removed. We're in the training system, so it's still in here, but it's going to be removed in the live system. Now, your commencement document, it's a limited menu according to the CPLR of the documents that you can use to commence your action. So we're going to select summons and complaint. Once we select our document name, right below is choose file. Now, on my desktop, I created a folder that I have all my PDFs in that folder. I recommend that you do that just so things are organized and you select the right file when you're uploading your documents and you don't upload an incorrect PDF. Now, all my PDFs you can see here are created and I named them according to the document name. So there's no room for error. Summons and complaint, once I hit open, you'll see the document name is listed here. Just note that your document name won't be visible in the case. It's just going to show summons and complaint. So whatever your document is named, as long as you know what it is, that's fine. Now I'm going to go over this momentarily, what this information is here relating to confidential personal information. But once I upload my document and I scroll down to the bottom of the page, the system again gives us 5 entries that we can upload 5 documents. If we need to upload more documents at this time, we can click add more documents and the system will generate another 5 documents that I can upload and so forth. So once we hit next, this is going to now bring us to the payment page. Now, the payment page, if you notice, there is some information populated here because I have used this account for training purposes. And it's the same thing for when you get an account created, specifically an attorney account, because or an unrepresented account. The information that gets saved when you use a credit card is only the first name, last name, the billing address, and the zip code. You always need to enter your credit card number. This information does not get stored on our servers. The expiration date is always entered, and the security code. Now, the methods of payment that are accepted in the Supreme Civil Court are Visa, MasterCard, and American Express. And the reason why I say that for Supreme Civil Court, because the surrogate court is only Visa and MasterCard. Now, there is an option here for fee already paid. This is a little more, this is more applicable if the court is open. So as of right now, the courts are not open, but if the courts were open and you went to go pay for your summons and complaint in person and you wanted to create the account, the case online, you would select fee already paid, hit the date that it was paid on the little calendar icon, and enter the receipt number and the payment type. And once you do that, you'd be exempt from obviously paying the fee again if you've already paid at the court. Now, no fee is for a city agency or a government agency that they are exempt from paying fees. If this is selected, what the parties would do when they're commencing the action, they would upload a summons and complaint, and the second document would be a no fee authorization letter, and the system has logic built into it that it would exempt them from paying the fee. Now, if there's any comments that you want to relay to the court, you can enter that information in this box. But if we're satisfied with the information that we put in, we're going to go down to the bottom of our page and hit next. Now, this is going to give us a final review and file. So if you see, there's nothing after this point. So once we go down to the bottom of the page and hit submit, this is it. Everything gets submitted to that specific court. So we need to really drive home here that all the information is correct. And at this time, you can still edit all the information that we put in. So if the county is incorrect, make sure that county is correct, because it's going to be a few steps for you on how to correct that. The case type, if that is incorrect, you could still modify that information. The caption, you can still edit the caption information. Now, the document that we're uploading, if you want to make sure that's correct, you can click on this link and that will upload your document. You could still modify that at this point. $210 fee. It's the same index fee that you would pay going to the courthouse. The payment information, if something is incorrect there, you can edit the payment information. Now, the attorney file number, what this is, it's not a required field. If your firm is designating specific numbers for your e-filed cases, say I'm starting with 1,000 in my firm, my first e-filed case, you can enter that number here and search for it on our system with your own internal number. So that might be helpful for some firms. If you're a smaller firm, you probably won't be using that at all, but you have the option to do that. Now, at the bottom of our page, we have a filing acknowledgement, and this is with every filing that we use, that we go through in the e-filing system. The bullet points listed below, the first one is the General Business Law 399 DDD6, and it's just prohibiting the filing of a document containing a social security number. If you think your document might have a social security number, you're required to redact that information. If it's a medical account number, an infant's name, it's only the initials of the first and last name. So it goes into more detail if you do click on the link. Well, the general business law will just cover social security numbers, but I'm jumping ahead a little bit. The 2025E rule in this bullet point is the redaction rule, and the redaction rule covers in detail. If you click on that link, you can read what should be redacted if you're unsure. Now, it also goes over the domestic relation law, and it states that if you are filing a matrimonial case, that you just simply designate matrimonial, contested or uncontested, whatever it may be, with that specific case type. And what that does is, on the e-filing system, by default, when you select that case type, the contents of that case are not available to the public. So it's just stating that you did your due diligence and you selected the correct case type. And it covers the same thing here with your commencing a matrimonial action. And finally, it just states that except in matrimonial actions, what I just mentioned, or a proceeding in surrogate court, and there are some specific supreme civil case types that are not available, like mental hygiene, cases are available to the public. So just be conscious of what you're uploading. Make sure that everything is protected what it needs to be protected, and there is search as a guest on our site so the public can see certain documents. Once you've gone over everything and you're satisfied with what you're uploading to the court, you can select File Documents. Now, once you select this, there's a progress bar on the bottom. And once this completes, we're going to get to a thank you confirmation page. And there it is. So this page is telling us that our document has been transmitted. Thank you for filing electronically. We have a filing receive date, today's date at 11:04 a.m. And it also gives us an authorization code and a transaction ID for our payment. Now, I recommend staying on this page for just a moment because there is a confirmation notice that we can click on. We can save this to our computer. We have a payment receipt that we can save. Now, you can click on your document. If you click on it now at this time, I'll just show you really quick. You can see that it generally wouldn't have the file stamp on here. We're in the training system, but it would generally have on the top in red, this document has been filed because payment's been received, so it's filed. But it would normally say that it has not been reviewed by the county clerk yet because there has not been an index number assigned. I have one of my colleagues on this demonstration, so he assigned an index number for me already, but when there's no index number assigned, we'll just say that the county clerk has not reviewed the document. Now, on this screen, you can go into the case by clicking Document List. But what I want to show you is there's also a Notice of Electronic Filing. And this is important. Now, I just commenced my action by summons and complaint. This Notice of Electronic Filing is a notice that accompanies your commencement papers when you're serving the other side in hard copy. Now, you're serving the other side in hard copy because they need to know that the case that's been commenced against them has been commenced electronically. And that notice goes over specifics as how that party needs to respond to their case using the e-filing system. And it gives some important information that they would need to know. So it just gets served, that document. It does not get electronically filed. So the only thing I need to do as the attorney for the plaintiff or just the plaintiff filing documents, I just need to upload an affidavit of service that I served them in hard copy. And then once the other party records their representation, everything is done on the e-filing system. Now, there's an email notification, and I want to show you the service that I get as the filer. I'm going to open up my email and drag it over. So the first email that comes through is the email of the notification of filing. So it's just to notify me by email that my case, index number not assigned yet, has been electronically filed, summons and complaint. It has my document listed here, and the email notification that was sent out. Of course, this is my email address that is linked to the training account that we just filed. Now, once this email gets sent out, now I'm waiting for the court to assign my case an index number. So I promise it doesn't happen this quick, but when you do get that email, I'll show you what that looks like. So the follow-up email that goes out to the filer is, actually this is just a to-do item, so I get a few additional emails. It specifically states notification of index number. So index claim number, so you see that the index number is listed here. Now, it has the index number here, and this is important because as the filer who commenced the action, now I know that I can affix the index number to my summons and complaint, and I can serve my papers. So once I serve my papers now to my adversary, what we're going to do is I'm going to log out of the account that I'm currently in, and I'm going to log in under the account for the defendant, and we're going to record our representation, file some response papers, and kind of show you the process of doing that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to close out of this tab and close out of the tab here, and I'm going to sign out of this attorney's account. Now, we have another training account that I'm signing in with. That is an attorney's account in the training system. And what we're going to do is click on Supreme Court again underneath File Documents. When I click on Supreme Court, we're now going to focus on existing cases. So when I click on File to an existing case, the screen looks a little bit different than what we went through just a moment ago. So anything on our site that has a red asterisk is information that needs to be put into advance to the next screen. So we know our index number is 111-999/2020. Now the court is New York County Supreme Court, so we're going to go down our list, select New York County Supreme Court, and if you notice, we have two columns here, motion documents or non-motion documents. So we're going to be filing a notice of motion. So we're going to focus on notice of motion / petition. If notice of motion has been filed to the case, we can do documents relating to an existing motion, proposed order to show cause, ex parte application, notice of cross motion, or if we're filing a non-motion document, we can select anything here on the right. Now, there's also some additional options here. If I am not a listed party in the case, but I need to file documents to a case, I can file as a non-party, and that option is listed here. Or if you want to file a third-party action, you can click on this link right here. So I'm going to select Next. And now, since I'm logged in with an account that has not recorded any representation for this specific case, I have not filed documents for this case, the system recognizes that, and it recognizes that this attorney's account who filed the commencement papers is listed here, but there's no information for the defendants. So since I represent both parties, I'm going to check off both boxes to the left of the party name and hit represent. Now when I do this, it's going to now link my account to this case. Once it does that, any documents now that are filed into the case, whether it be by my adversary or even by the court, I'll get email notifications. Now, are you filing a request for judicial intervention? This box comes up again. Until an RJI is filed into the case, this is going to appear. So we're going to actually select yes. Well, the nature of the action stay is tort motor vehicle. We're going to select yes. It's going to be the same case type. Now, main document, document type, we're going to select notice of motion. Now, this drop-down list is somewhat limited because on the previous screen we selected notice of motion / petition. So the list that's populated on this screen is going to be indicative of what is selected on the previous page. So I'm going to select notice of motion, choose file, and select my notice of motion. Now, I'll go over this quickly. Does this document contain confidential personal information as defined in the redaction rule, the 2025E? Now, the system is defaulted to no. If the notice of motion had redacted information that you redacted on your own, you would just simply select redacted. And it would be noted when it gets filed into the case, you would see redacted underneath the document name to let the parties know that there's redacted information in this document. If you want to upload the document unredacted, seeking a remedy as part of the rule, you would select that option, or you would select unredacted as required or permitted by a specific rule of the law, and you can enter that section of the law here. Now, unredacted will not be viewable to the parties and just specific people to the court who have administrative rights who could see that document. So it just states that you did not redact anything. So we're just going to go to no because we don't have any redacted information in our document. But I wanted to show you what that is. Now, at any point in time, if you're unfamiliar with the sections of the law, all of these fields of information here are linkable that you can click on, and it will bring you to a watered down version of that section of the law that you can easily understand what exactly needs to be done as far as redaction with certain accounts. So that information is available to you. So notice of motion, we're also going to be uploading a memorandum of law. If I just hit the M on my keyboard, it's going to bring me right to memorandum of law. Now, if you notice, this drop-down list is much more extensive list as subsequent documents. So there's a lot more entries that we can select on subsequent documents. So I'm going to select my memorandum of law, hit open. And finally, I'm going to upload an exhibit. So once I select exhibit, there's going to be a pop-up box that appears on my screen. And what the pop-up box says is when filing an exhibit number and a short description are required. Now, what that means is if I hit OK to make this box disappear, exhibit number letter is required. So we're going to select a letter, so we're going to go Exhibit A. And also, document description is a required field when selecting exhibit, and that's this box right here. So we're going to select accident report. Now, if you try and proceed, you'll get another pop-up box that it will tell you this information is required, and it won't allow you to proceed to the next page. So once I hit choose file, I'm going to select my exhibit, and once I do so, we're going to go down to the bottom of the page and hit next. Now, since we selected notice of motion, the system has logic built into it that we're at more info, and this is adding our motion information. Now, the main relief sought for filing our notice of motion is we're looking to get the action dismissed, so we're going to select dismiss. One thing I would like to show you on this drop-down list, it's a pretty extensive list, but we get some questions at the Resource Center that by one of the parties saying, I can't find my main relief sought that I'm looking for my notice of motion. In the event that you do not see what you're looking for here, there is a miscellaneous option that will cover what is not on this list. So I just wanted to show you that it is on this list, miscellaneous, in case you don't find what you're looking for. Now, once I select dismiss, there's also secondary relief that is not required, so you don't have to enter anything on the secondary relief sought. Now, return date is required for New York County, so it has a red asterisk. We're just going to select June 26th, 30 days away, month away. And one thing again I would like to stress here is if you're filing a notice of motion in the case, the return date is not a physical return date at this time during the COVID-19 pandemic. So the courts are setting up virtual conferences, and they're alerting the parties by email. So you will get a notification that way. It's not physically going to the court. Now, once you select that return date and hit next, this is going to bring us to our next page, and it's add RJI information. So the RJI page, if you're uploading your own RJI or if you're having this system create one, there's an option on the bottom of this page, and I'll show you where. The information on this page still needs to be filled in no matter what's selected. So we do get that question a lot, that I'm uploading my own RJI. Why do I need to fill this in? The information that gets inputted here gets sent to the court, and it does get saved. So that's why the information is required. So has a summons and complaint or a summons with notice been filed? We're going to select yes. We're going to put today's date. We're going to select yes again, that it's been served. Summons and complaint or summons with notice been served. Click on the calendar icon, select today's date. And is this action being filed post-judgment? We're going to select no. Now, going down where we see our red asterisk, notice the nature of judicial intervention. We're going to select notice of motion. If you have a related case, you can put that information here, not required. Now, parties issued join, we're just going to select no. This is a required field. Now, the RJI document, this is where you can upload your own RJI. So I do have one prepared, so I'm going to select RJI and attach my document. But it says here, or you can have the system create your RJI with the information that you're inputting above. And similarly to when we uploaded our previous documents, we always have additional document information that we can enter, or special instructions that we would like to relay to the court, we can enter here. At the very bottom of the page, this is just an RJI affirmation, just the information that we have on the RJI screen, that we affirm that the information is correct, that everything has been reviewed. Once you affirm that information and you go and hit next, this is going to bring us to our payment page. So what we just saw before, it's broken down any of our fee documents, the documents that we uploaded. So we see our $45 motion fee, our $95 RJI fee. We're going to put in our credit card information again. I promise this credit card does not work. So 123, security code, fee already paid, and no fee. The same information was there that we saw previously. And once we hit next, we're going to get again to our final review and file page. You notice you can't edit the caption at this point in the case summary. That information was available to the person who was starting the action. Now, the edit payment information we can still do along with our documents. You can click on each document and make sure that that information is correct. And finally, our filing acknowledgement. Once I acknowledge and click on that checkbox and hit File Document, our documents will now be transmitted to the court. Okay, perfect. So now we received our thank you for filing electronically. We can click on confirmation notice. We can add payment receipt to our record. We can click on it and save the PDF. Now you can also add a case to eTrack. Once a judge is assigned to a case, then you can get eTrack notifications. And you can also go into the case by clicking on document list. First, I just want to show you really quick the email notification that goes out. So this is our notification of filing. It has our index number. It has the documents that were uploaded to the case. And if you notice now, it has email notification sent. It doesn't have just one party's email address. It now has the other account, the attorney for the defendant. It has their email address listed here as getting electronic service. So I wanted to give you that email to show you what it looks like now when we have multiple parties consented in the case. Now, I just received an additional email that I'm going to share with you that one of the documents that I uploaded to the court has been returned for correction. Now, this may happen in some of the cases that you're participating in, that a document that you upload, maybe if the document's scanned and it's missing a page, if the resolution of the document is not legible, it's illegible. The court reviews each document, so it can return the document back to you. And how you remedy this problem is, I'll first show you in the email that you receive, it always says in the body of the email the reason for the return. So why the court is returning this document to you. And it says pages are missing or out of order. Now it also gives you instructions to do not file a new document. To refile the document, go to the document list for this case and click the refiled document link under the document name. Now we see here that the document that was returned, it's only document number 2, which is our notice of motion. So I'll show you exactly how this is done. So we're going to close out our email, and we're already signed into the account that filed the notice of motion. So there's a few ways that we can now go into the case. One being what I mentioned before, my cases / appeals. When we click on this, and this is in attorney accounts, this is going to show us all the cases that we have linked to our account. So I have my list sorted with newest to oldest. So this is going to be the newest cases that you started to your oldest cases. Now, if you notice here on the first column, there's a red asterisk. And what that red asterisk means is that there is something required that you need to do to this specific case. And because the document was returned for correction, that's why that red asterisk is there. So you can click on the index number here, and that will bring you right into the case. Or if we click Home NYSCEF and go back to the welcome page, we can also go into our case by clicking Case Search. So I'm going to click on Case Search, and this is available to anybody. I can put in the index number here, 111999/2020, and hit search, and this will bring us right to our case as well. Now, there's also a tab here that says name. We can put in one of the parties' names and hit search, and that will bring us to the case. Or we can even search an attorney's name and get to the case that way. So there's multiple ways of getting to a case if you don't have the index number. So you know what? I'm actually going to copy and paste this real quick, and we'll just copy it and go to the name tab just to show you what it looks like. So you can search for one of the party names, a business organization name. You can search there, or you can select attorney and put in that information here. So we're going to go back to case identifier. I'm going to put in the index number, hit search, and on the next page it's going to show you some brief information about our case, and we can click on the index number to go right into the case that we're a part of. Now, it gives us a notification right away, and this is only going to show up in the account that the document was returned for correction in. So since I'm still under the defendant's attorney account, that notice of motion, it alerts me here this case has one document that has been returned for correction. So as we scroll down the screen here, we see that the notice of motion document number 2, which was in the email, the status of the document is in red and it says return for correction. If we click on, this is the link that the email was referring to, refile document. When I click on that link and I hit choose file, I can upload my new RJI, and if I need to give any additional instructions to the court, I can enter that information here, but I can just click refile document. Oop, I clicked RJI, but it would be notice of motion. And once I hit refile document, when I refile my corrected document, if I click on document list and go back to that tab that shows all the documents that I uploaded, we'll see that I re-uploaded a corrected PDF, and it's actually noted here. Now, when it says OCR in progress, check back in 15 minutes, this is perfectly normal. It's not a mistake or an error with your document. It just means optical character recognition. What this system does is it does a scan of any documents that are being uploaded to the site. If there is a social security number that the system recognizes, it automatically redacts that information, and it also makes every PDF text searchable for the judges. So if they need to search your notice of motion to a specific section, they can search for that section or a specific section of the law that you may be referencing in your document. They can search for it very easily that way. Now, while I'm on this screen, there's in the middle of the screen narrow by options. Now, there are some easy ways to navigate through your case as more and more documents get filed into the case. One being at the very top, document type. This is going to show all the document types that were filed into your case. So you can just look up notice of motion. If you want to see all motions filed into your case and hit sort, this is where you can see a reduced document list specifically to notice of motion. Now, if you're looking for, since we only have one motion that we filed into the case, you'll see each motion sequence listed here on this drop down that you can click and hit sort. It's going to show you that motion sequence number along with all the subsequent documents that are attached to that motion. Now, if you're looking for a specific document number, you can type in that document number here and hit sort. If you want to look for documents that have been filed by a specific attorney into the case, there may be 10, 15 attorneys that have filed documents into a case. So it might be helpful if I click on the attorney for the plaintiff and I hit sort, it's going to show me what that attorney filed into this case specifically. And it obviously is just one document in this situation. Now, below that, there is a way that you can search for documents that have been filed into a case by a certain date range. So if you click on the calendar icon, you can click on a date range that might be applicable for certain documents you might be looking for. Once you select the dates, hit sort, and then you'll see it on the screen. Now, I want to go into case detail. When I click on a case detail, this is going to show us the full caption of the case. Now, if I'm logged in as the attorney for the defendant, if I need to get in touch with the attorney for the plaintiff, This is actually really helpful. I can click on, it will have the attorney's name here. If I click on the attorney's name, it's going to give me detailed information for that attorney. Their firm name, their physical address, their phone number, and the service email address or other email addresses that they might have linked to their account. So I can call them up, contact them by email, and this is just a helpful resource if you need to contact any of the other parties within your case. Now the comments tab is comments that the court can leave that they might want to relay to any of the parties. If that information is uploaded by the court, they can be found on this tab right here. Now at the very top of the screen, it's just going to show us a short caption of the case type, and you see case status RJI pending because the judge has not been assigned to the case yet. We're still in the training system. But e-filing status, it shows full participation recorded because all the parties listed here have attorneys that consented to their representation, and it's listed here. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the home NYSCEF screen, which is the home screen once we sign in, and I'm going to leave on the screen our contact information. Now, our contact information, we have a phone number listed here, but as of right now, during the crisis, our phone numbers are not being answered at the Resource Center, so the best way of reaching us is by email. Our email address is NYSCEF, and that just means New York State Courts Electronic Filing, the abbreviation, at nycourts.gov. You can email us any questions you may have at that email address, and also our other email address is efile, E-F-I-L-E, no hyphenation, at nycourts.gov. So we're monitoring our emails Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. So if you do run into a problem, just don't feel that you're on your own, and if you run into a snag with a certain error you may encounter, email us. We'll be more than happy to respond back to you and help you out in detail with any issues that may come up.